Well, hello and welcome to the Sterling Hughes Show, where we share the secrets and the strategies of what we are doing to build a rapidly growing law practice. You know, over the past 9 years, we have grown from 0 attorneys to over 25 and doing close to $16 million in revenue. And I have nothing to sell you. My purpose here is to document what's working and what's not working in our practice with hopes that you can take that, you can recontextualize that for yourself and shorten your success curve. My name is Jeff Hughes and I'm your host, and this is the September 2023 version of our Sterling Chronicles series. Now, what is that? It's something that I wish so much that I would have had back when we started our practice. And this is a series of a monthly retelling and description of what happened in the prior month, our hard lessons, our wins, our losses, our just what we experienced as a firm growing through that, with hopes you can take some of that and maybe apply that to your particular practice. You know, this month I've got really 4 headlines or highlights to share with you, maybe some lowlights in here too as well, to share with you from September of 2023. So I'm sitting here, it's October 7th, and so that's the time frame that I'm coming to you from and sharing with you what happened last month. All right, so I have talked in the past about my conviction around paid consults. And so I'm going to become a hypocrite a little bit today and share with you some testing that we've been doing around free consults. So my love for paid consults and what I've described as really just a vital need for paid consults, I'm testing that, and we're challenging whether or not that holds up in every single case. And so back in early part of August, we began phasing in some free consults into our mix of paid consults. And we more or less scored the leads coming in based on the likelihood that they would in fact be qualified for our services and even retain and work with us going forward. And so we came up with some little rudimentary formula for doing that. And the goal here was to eventually get to the point where we are able to serve more clients. We weren't providing an obstacle in the front end for them to engage with us and to work with us. And in marketing speak, that's called kind of widening the top funnel, with hopes that at the end of the funnel, those that actually choose our firm, with hopes that those folks, we would have more of them than if we stayed with the paid consult. So it's obvious that you've got some trade-offs here. So the wider your funnel, the more folks that get through that who maybe are challenged in the area of resources and don't really have enough resources to engage with a law firm. And you get folks who really aren't serious and they're just kicking the tires and they're not as mindful around even actually making a decision. So, because there's no commitment for them, right? It's free. So we knew that as we widened our funnel, we would in fact have more of that inefficiency in our system in the form of no-shows, in the form of really unqualified folks to work with us, and people who really weren't that interested and just maybe had some questions they wanted to get answered without much of a commitment on their end. So what we have seen is this. I'm going to share with you our numbers. Now, these aren't precise. These are very directionally accurate, so I wasn't able to get absolute precise numbers because of the way we're doing some of our tracking right now. But what we found is that moving to it's gone from a blend of paid and free to mostly free consults right now. There's some paid still in there, but mostly free. We've seen our top of funnel, those that express an interest to set a consultation with our team, grow about 35%. So that's really positive, right? Meaning we have 35% more people raising their hand and say, you know what, I want to potentially work with your firm and meet with someone on your staff. But conversely, right, when you widen your funnel like that, you're going to see more inefficiency in the system, and we have certainly seen that. So historically, we have tracked our show rates, meaning we set a consult and some folks just don't care. They just don't show up. They either reschedule at the last minute or don't even call you at all. No call, no show. We've seen that historically stayed pretty steady around high 80s, 85 to 90% roughly in there. And we've seen it now drop down to high 70s, 75 to 80, depending on the day. And even depending on whether or not the potential client is meeting with a lawyer or one of our legal assistants, that makes a difference too. So we've seen our no-show rate or our show rates all increase negatively, right? We don't want to have that. So we have seen some of that. So we knew we would, but to quantify that, it's about 10% overall. So we've seen about 10% more folks just not show up or reschedule at the very last minute, or even don't even call at all and just not even show up for the appointment. So there's some things we can do to tighten that down, but we knew that would be part of the trade-off to widening our funnel. So 35%, about 10% of those, or 10 of the 35 just are not showing up. So that leaves us 25% more. So the question you have there is, of those 25%, how many are qualified? If most of them are unqualified from a standpoint of they don't have our particular type of case, they're not looking for that, they're not even interested in retaining an attorney, they're just wanting to talk, or they just have no financial resources, they're indigent and they're not able to afford working with a law firm. So it's hard to track that because every case is vastly different, and to get into the granularity of tracking, that's very difficult. But anecdotally, what I'm told by my team, it's about a 10 to 15% of that 35 increase. So that brings us around 20 to 25%. So that, is it worth getting 35% more clients if 25% of those, or 25 of the 35, are really not good fits or don't show up at all? So is it worth the extra work for that 10? And we're evaluating that right now, if it's in fact worthwhile. And I would never have done this, we'd not had the ability to connect our potential clients with legal assistance, because we just did not have the attorney capacity to do that. We were out 3 weeks in some cases in giving a potential client the ability to meet with someone on our team. So because of our now ability to connect potential clients with legal assistants instead of lawyers, it's brought that time frame down from 15 days down to in the single digits right now in terms of the time that it takes, the days that it takes for someone to meet with someone on our staff. So we're watching it, and it's interesting, the trade-offs that you have to make. And so if we don't see a significant increase in our clientele, then it's probably not worth it. It's probably just noise in our system. And not to mention, going from a paid consult to a free consult, there is a revenue drop there as well. So we're having to kind of evaluate that and think that through as well. Also downstream, you potentially have cultural issues, morale issues, because now you've got legal assistants who are having appointments and lawyers who are having appointments with clients who just don't care. They don't show up. And as disappointing as that is, not having the professionalism to say, hey, I scheduled an appointment, but I'm not able to make it, I don't want to make it, I changed my mind. Those are all perfectly acceptable, but just not showing up and not even notifying us despite best efforts to connect with them, that's a bummer, right? That's just, I guess you get that in society, that's how it works. So that's an issue that we have to manage through and work with our team to set expectations around, a certain number of folks just aren't going to show up. And those that do, you're going to have a modestly increased number of folks who just are not qualified. And that's something that we're going to have to continue to work through and manage and watch and so forth. So those are some of the trade-offs you get when you go from paid to free consults. More on that to come in the future as we continue to watch that. All right, so second headline is that we're still continuing to expand our program of legal assistance, doing the initial consults with clients. And the measuring stick for us is client experience. Is it a better experience for them because it's faster, and we're able to give them some real devoted time and attention in those initial consults, and hopefully get their questions answered in a way that connects and empathizes with our potential clients. And what we're finding is, yes, that's been very, very positive. We're not seeing dramatic differences in client expression of their experience with a lawyer versus a legal assistant, but we are seeing some positive trends and positive numbers there. We're watching that. So right now within our practice, about 60% of our consults are done by legal assistants, and 40% are still being handled by the lawyers. So that's the breakup right now. We're going to close that gap and hopefully get that closer to about 95% of legal consults. And what we're finding is that clients are favorable to it. So that's been a real pleasant surprise, something that I didn't even think was a thing, didn't think it was possible, but it's certainly, we're seeing that it is. One thing that's been interesting as we've watched this, we've seen our show rates, meaning clients who set an appointment and then show up. Our show rates have remained fairly high in the 80s, mid to 80s or so with our lawyers, but mid 70s with our non-lawyers. So it's clear that you're having a segment of our potential clients just seeing that they're not meeting with a lawyer and ascribing less value to them to do that. So that's interesting to watch that. So we'll continue to see how that evolves. We've had some promotions last month, which is really fun to announce. We had Andrea Adams in our Madison office. She was promoted to senior associate, so congratulations, Andrea. And we also had 3, this is a big deal in our practice. So we had 3 of our senior associates promote to partner. So we had Austin Miller in our Milwaukee team, we had Nina Kelly on our Arlington Heights, Illinois team, and we had Tiffany Biederman in our Fox Valley, Appleton office. All 3 of those amazing, fine people, great lawyers, promote to partners. So congratulations, all 4 of you. You're just a joy to work with on our team, and can't wait to see what the future holds for all of us working together. All right, so I'll conclude with our numbers. So every month I've been sharing with you our true raw numbers in our practice as to where we're at. So I'll walk you through those and just share with you kind of where I'm seeing things trend. And overall, the theme is down. We are certainly down from August to September. Now, there's a calendar reason for that, for sure. So in the month of August of 23 here, we had 23 working days. In the month of September, given the fact that it's a 30-day month and you have Labor Day in there here in the US. So what we've seen is that the 23 days going down to 20, that's a 15% drop. That certainly affects our numbers when you compare month over month. So there's a little bit of that in there, but overall, even with that, we were still down more than our forecasting was. So that was a bummer to see that. But walking you through the numbers here from a consult perspective of setting consults, we set 767 consults in the month of September, which was huge. The biggest factor, that's 10% up over August, by the way. So that is the one number that is up. But I will point out that we went full bore with consults, free consults in the month of September. So that certainly impacted those numbers. August had a blend of paid and free, and September was mostly free. So potential clients certainly responded to that and scheduled more consults with us. So we're watching that to see if that's going to overburden our system and provide a lot of gaps and no-shows in there, which we don't want to see happen. We're trying to manage around that because now you have this built-in inefficiency within our firm. We don't like that. So we're seeing a lot of folks set consults, which is cool, but we're seeing that have some negatives as well. So new clients coming in, we had 192 clients come in and join our team last month, which was great to be able to serve those families. The other side of that coin is, however, that we were down 21% from August. In August, I believe we did around 244 new clients. Now, where we knew that we would probably be down on a basis of the days, we'd be down about 15% because we had 15% fewer days, but to be down 21%, missing our forecast pretty substantially there, that was a real bummer. So we're not quite sure why that happened that way. I don't know if the start of school had something to do with that. Perhaps it did. There's some other potential factors as well that we're trying to work through. So that really matters a lot to our top line. Top line turned out to be 1.2 million and some change last month. So that was down from our forecast as well, and down 20% from the month of August. So, we knew we'd be down a little bit because of the days again, but not down that much. So that's something that we're scratching our head and trying to understand. But that's directly tied to new clients choosing our firm coming in. So we see this as a sales issue as the primary thing, but identifying exactly within the sales process what's going on within the buying decision and our retaining decision for our clients, we're not quite sure on. One bright spot, we did receive 195 new reviews, public reviews from clients. So that was incredible to see that many clients raise their hand publicly and say, hey, this was my experience with your firm. So thank you, clients, for that. So we had more reviews than we had new clients last month, which is incredible. So really fun to see that. And then, as you all know, we do track a metric called Net Promoter Score, NPS. and we are holding steady. We target being above 50. Last month we were at 54. This month we're at 52. So we're seeing that hold real strong relative to our peer group, which is somewhat of an indicator. We're about double that. So we work really hard at our client experience, and clients are sharing with us that they in fact appreciate that. So thank you, clients. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. So all right, so that's the month of September 2023 over here at Sterling Law. Look forward to seeing you all next month. Until then, I hope your month is amazing and that your practice is growing. Cheering for you on this end over here.